Lifelong learners and contribute positively to society. This would be a regular board meeting, February 12th, 2024, 5:30 p.m. in the Centerville Admin Office. I'd like to call the regular board meeting to order with a roll call, please.
Berger.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Heflin. Here. Johnson.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Liskus.
Here. I'd like to welcome all of our visitors. We've got quite a few people in the room, and so that's always great to see. I know some of you are presenting tonight. We're looking forward to that. And before you go into our public forum, I'd like to read the guidelines for public comment. We would like to remind all speakers that while this is an open forum for issues or praise or concerns, the board does expect all speakers to remain civil tone and refrain from using profanity, raising voices, making statements that are threatening or harassing towards others. Speakers who are creating disruption may be asked to leave. We also want to remind all speakers that any comments that made during public comment are done so at the risk of the person making the comment, and the district will not be responsible for defamatory or potentially defamatory statements which may be made about a particular person. Individuals are advised to seek legal counsel if they are uncertain about the character of any of their comments. It's the board's practice not to engage or respond to speakers during the public comment session. Regardless of the topic or concern, if the board wishes to discuss an item or address an item or concern based on public comment, will do so by establishing an agenda at a future board meeting, delegating responsibility to the administration to address the issue. Is there anybody who'd like to make a public comment statement? Seeing none, we'll move on to approve the agenda.
Motion approved. Second.
Motion second to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda's approved. Need to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the previous meetings. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Minutes are approved. There is no old business. New business. We're going to start with the FAA presentation. Come on up.
Hi everyone, we are representing the Centerville FFA chapter. I am Lauren Phillips, your Centerville FFA chapter president. I'm Kimmy Schilling, the vice president. So next week is National FFA Week, and National FFA Week is based around George Washington's birthday, and he was an agriculturalist, and we like to honor him every year.
We're kicking off National FFA Week at Game On, and we're going to do an hour of laser tag, and all FFA members have to come.
And then we also have dress-up days, just like homecoming. For example, I think we're doing America Day, country versus city type of thing. And then we also have a competition that week, so FFA members will dress in this to show the students kind of what we wear and how things work.
And we'll be doing Ag Olympics in each Ag class, and we'll do different Ag-related games, and each class will participate, and we'll have an overall winner.
We also have sub-districts, Wednesday the 21st. Tonight I'm going to be presenting a speech to you guys, so my contest is prepared public speaking. We also have a girl doing the creed, which basically states what FFA is about. We have a chapter POA, which basically is program of activities, which explains what we do every year in our chapter, and we present it to panel of judges. There's also a conduct team, basically it demonstrates parliamentary procedure, things like that. There's just a lot of different activities that kids are going to be participating in as such.
And there's an FFA barn dance at Moulton that we were invited to. They have not set a date yet, but we're very excited to attend that.
And then Friday of FFA week, which is not this week but next week, we're doing a teacher and staff breakfast. It'll be at 7:15 in the morning. That's what we have for you guys.
Okay. Do you guys have a trip? Or did you take your trip already? Is that coming up?
Oh, we took a trip. Are you talking about National FFA Convention?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that in November. We visited many places. Where did we go?
E.T. Squares.
Oh, yeah.
We went to Nashville, right?
Yeah, we went to Indianapolis. It was super
Indianapolis,
fun.
okay.
Yeah, it was really fun. But it wasn't fun waking up at like, what, 1? Well, that's like
3 a.m.
Now your special dress-up days, etc., are those for the whole student body or FFA?
It's for the whole student body, but I'm guessing only FFA members will participate. Last year we had like some kids do it. It's just fun, you know, for ag kids, because we like to think like things like that. Do you guys have any questions about FFA week? We can answer.
Anything spectacular from your trip that you learned? Because we were kind of curious about that. I know I was curious about that.
So we went to multiple general sessions, which basically highlight winners of contests, public speakers. It was really cool to go to those. There were so many kids there. I learned a lot. We went to a spraying place where they make sprayers just from the ground up basically, and it was really cool to see that because my family utilizes sprayers like that, and I also didn't know how they were made, so seeing that was really cool.
Good.
How many members do you have in FFA?
There's about 60 FFA members.
60
About
women.
60, about.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow.
Which is a really big increase because last year we only had like 20 something,
Yeah,
and then this year we went to 60.
good for you guys.
Yeah.
Good for
Wow.
you.
Yeah, a lot of freshmen, which is my younger brother's class. There's a lot of freshmen.
Good recruiters you are.
Yes, you are.
We like to start out the year with 8th grade recruitment. So we go to the middle schoolers and basically say, hey, this is what FFA is about. This is how it can benefit your future. And we got a lot of kids to do it, so it's really cool.
Good.
Do they talk about jobs at all? You know,
Oh, yeah.
in Annapolis, the type of
Yeah.
jobs you could go into?
hmm Basically, at any FFA trip, if you find someone, like, they will tell you this is a job. I've talked to a lot of different people about jobs and certain things, so, yeah. The careers are endless in agriculture. Do you have any more questions?
I think we're excited to hear your speech.
I haven't said it. I haven't said it in front of like anybody besides my immediate family and like classmates, so it's a little bit different here, so.
I'll be your mom.
Okay. So my speech is about suicide in agriculture, which is an ongoing topic. Public speaking is something that I'm very passionate about. Homecoming has definitely helped me with all of that. So starting a speech and coming from an agricultural-based family is something that's very important to me. And I just want to thank you guys for listening to it today. Hope. Stephen Hawking once said, "There should be no boundaries to human endeavor. We are all different. However bad life may seem, there is always something we can do and succeed at. While there is life, there is hope." Good evening. My name is Lauren Phillips. A topic of great concern to me is agricultural-related suicides. I have lived on a farm for most of my life, and I have had the privilege of meeting people across the nation throughout my agricultural experiences. I absolutely love agriculture, whether it be crop production, to cattle and their breeding services, to being an actively involved member of FFA, 4-H, and the Iowa Junior Angus Association. But the one area that I am most passionate about is the people, and that is why I am here today. I want to bring awareness to a topic that is often avoided or seen as taboo: suicide. More specifically and more importantly to us today, suicide in the agriculture industry. Penn State conducted a study in June 2023 showing that the national average suicide rate was 14.1 of every 100,000 people. But even more alarming is that when looking at occupations, the statistic was significantly higher for farmers, ranchers, and ag managers at 43.7 of every 100,000 people. Only 1.3% of the American population are farmers and ranchers, which means that statistically, over 1,100 farmers and ranchers commit suicide annually from sea to shining sea. That number is heart-wrenching, and it needs to be reduced drastically. There are many misconceptions about farming, ranching, and ag managing. For example, many Americans feel as though farming is a glorious occupation that allows them the benefits of being their own boss, enjoying the outdoors, and creating their own work schedules. The reality, however, is that farming is plummeting in population for many reasons, including but not limited to economic hardships, harsh weather conditions, and a mere lack of interest, which leads to no help. All of these variables are contributing to a growing number of farmer and ranch-related suicides. It is important to understand farm-related stress. Although all professions have their stressors, according to Dr. Rebecca Dudensing, a department head of agriculture research at Texas A&M University, states that farming and ranching is more stressful than any other occupation. Oftentimes, farmers live where they work, so a loss of employment could very well mean a loss of home, and possibly a home where generations of the family have lived. Even if the family and career lines are not as blurry as they could potentially be, farmers are often worried about letting their families down by losing land, breaking equipment, or really any other factor that is probably beyond their control. All of these variables can lead to guilt, which then leads to anxiety, depression, substance abuse, or worse, suicide. The stigma that farmers and ranchers may feel is intensified by the fact that most men, especially the stereotypical strong, tough farmers and ranchers, feel as though reaching out for help is a sign of weakness. Women, however, are not immune to the stresses of farming and ranching. Women tend to internalize their stress, and that stress can create a double-edged sword because they are more likely to be tending to a family as well as the farm. In addition to men and women, even children are prone to the stresses of farming and ranching, and quite often blame themselves. Dudgeon states that, in fact, children tend to blame themselves for economic conditions well beyond their control. Children's stress may manifest as behavioral outcomes, for example, inappropriate behavior or poor school performance. Farm and ranch-related stress is very real and much more prevalent than many people think. If it continues to go unnoticed or remain the elephant in the room, then farmer and rancher-related suicide rates will continue to rise. One of the most obvious reasons that farmers and ranchers die by suicide is economic hardships. According to Dr. Christina Miller with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, suicides can be a result of inconsistent work schedules, fluctuating commodity prices, shrinking labor pools, uncertain government policies, and unpredictable environmental conditions, as well as just the basic costs of living, poor crop markets, and even higher production costs.
You're doing good.
Sorry,
No, it's all right.
I know exactly where I'm at, I just gotta think about it. According to the USDA, since 2020, the total costs paid by farmers and ranchers to raise crops and care for livestock has increased by more than $100 billion, or 28%, to an all-time high of $460 billion in 2023. In addition to those costs, just the cost of land alone is very expensive. Then, the farmer has to maintain fertilizer, seed, and maintenance to keep the land at its best to produce the best yield. The cost of cattle and other livestock is also at an all-time high. The economy is affecting all of these costs that not only consumers have to endure, but farmers and their livelihoods as well. You might be asking yourself, what can we do to help? While simply asking our farming friends how everything is going might seem like a good option, oftentimes they don't want to trauma dump. If you know someone who is struggling, referring them to the AgriStress hotline available 24/7 or the National Suicide Hotline could ultimately decrease anxiety, depression, and suicide. In 2021, the U.S. Department of Agriculture awarded grants totaling to $2.5 million to states nationwide to expand mental health resources for farmers and ranchers. In addition to the helpful hotlines and mental health resources, suggesting someone having these issues to a doctor or therapist could also decrease the stigma. Whatever the situation may be, ignoring someone when there is an obvious problem is never the solution. We must unite and stand together in tough times. Sometimes, having hope is all we need to succeed. Thank you.
You did that with a lot of grace and poise. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Very good.
So at the end of this contest, the judges ask questions. So if you guys have any, it would be helpful feedback from
I have
me.
a question for those who are playing along at home, which is something that I like to say, because, as you know, we stream these, and then a lot of times people watch them later. So if somebody who's at home and maybe is cruising Facebook and sees our meeting tonight to watch it, what was that hotline that you could refer somebody to if you have a friend who's in an agricultural related field?
The AgriStress hotline, if you look it up, I don't know the exact number, but it's available 24/7. And then there's also the National Suicide Hotline. The number for that is 988. I know that right off the top of my head because my mom is at school and she's in school currently. She wants to be a counselor and a therapist. So I know that if you seriously look up National Suicide Hotline or the number 988, it will directly take you to the hotline.
You know, a long time ago, in the 80s, farm prices were
Yes.
very, very bad. Is it staying about the same now, or has it gone down from them, or that number seems really high right
Yeah.
now.
The farm crisis, I don't, since I wasn't alive, I don't have the best frame of reference, but I come from a long line of farmers. And so my grandparents and my parents are, constantly referring Lucas and I, which is my younger brother, to the farm crisis, and we learn about it in school. A lot of it had to do with the economy. The economy is still not very good. And, with those and with the prices, mental health has gone down the drain. And I think something that's really important is it can start in school. We have great mental health resources at school for children, but men and women, they're scared to reach out. If you're a farmer, you're kind of expected to just be tough all the time, and there's so many struggles that people don't realize, and I think it's important that we try to decrease the stigma and encourage them to reach out for help. Does anyone have any more questions? Okay.
Well, she's gotta practice answering questions.
Right.
We haven't tried. So, okay, can you describe for us, like, where will you give this speech, where, like, how that works? Cause it's part of a contest,
Yes.
right, so.
So there's sub-districts, which is like it's like in basketball you have like playoffs, it's like everything, or playoffs. And so sub-districts is the first step, and how many they top 2 or top 1?
Top 2.
They take top 2 at sub-districts, and they rate contests as gold, silver, and bronze. And so I'm hoping for a gold, because gold you then advance. It'll just be a small room, there'll probably be a few people in there, the line of judges, and kids who just want to come listen, and I'll just say my speech. And I think the biggest takeaway that I have from this is, even if I don't win, getting the message out there is more important to me than any award.
Who's in the audience that you're gonna speak to? Is it just judges, or is there? a
It's
bunch of
judges,
population?
it's FFA kids, my parents will go and support me.
So there's a general population
Yeah.
instead of judges, okay.
And obviously my parents, they know how bad things are, because my dad is a farmer and my mom is studying all of this stuff, but there have been kids who have come up to me at school and they had no idea this was happening. And so I think it's just really important to get the word out and
I'm glad to hear that it's more than just judges, because
Yeah.
it's such an important topic, and if it was just spoken to judges, the message isn't go as far as
Yeah.
it is to other people out there. So I think you've taken on a tough subject and you've done really well with it.
Thank you. Districts, which is like after it goes sub-districts, districts, and then state. Sub-districts will be a more crowded room, and then state will be, if I make it to state, it'll be absolutely packed. So there will be a lot of people who hear any speech that makes it to state.
Now, when will you be doing that, the first round,
First round is February 21st, so next Wednesday.
and where?
It's in Pella, and the districts are March 2nd in Des Moines.
Another question you may get is comparing the rates of suicide with farmers, with veterans, because veterans get a lot of publicity.
Mhm.
And we have a march, and we got 3 veterans in our group right here. And with veterans, there are places they can go where they can have support groups and things like that. And you don't hear about that for farmers, where a group of them get together, and sometimes that can be valuable. And obviously, veteran suicide is very high also, and I don't know if it's higher or lower, but
I'll
that might be
definitely
a
check on
question you
that.
might get asked.
Yeah. My family, Lucas and I experience stress of farming all the time. Cost of cattle, like I said, and other livestock is also at an all-time high, and we live on an Angus farm. I mean, that's what we do. And so it's important for farmers to realize it's okay to reach out for help. I just know so many people from literally Centerville, where I used to live in Knoxville, who I know are not comfortable reaching out, but I know they're struggling. Every farmer has struggles. Just like any person, farmers especially, because we're here to feed the world, and there's nothing easy about that. And also another point that I want to say, we've started saying committing suicide instead of saying dying by suicide. If you say committing suicide, you're criminalizing those people. Those people aren't criminals. They're obviously struggling. So I tried to incorporate dying by suicide into my speech instead of saying committing suicide. Because I was hearing one of my mom's lectures one night, and they were saying, like if you say die by suicide, it doesn't make them look criminal. But if you say committing suicide, you make them look like they're terrible people, just like they've committed any other crime. And obviously, they died by suicide because they had more struggles that they thought would take over their life. So that's another thing, I want to start saying dying by suicide instead of committing suicide.
Good point.
So, dying by suicide, could you include into that like suicide by bottle? Instead of
Yeah,
it being one
yeah,
act that took your,
substance abuse.
because we all have been touched by someone in the farming thing that
Yeah,
has done that.
yeah,
So,
yeah, I can definitely try to incorporate some things into my speech. So. Do you have any other questions?
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you for coming.
Very good.
At
Well
least
done.
one of us didn't even realize this was a problem, so you definitely
It's definitely a hot, I
impacted some
wouldn't,
people.
I wouldn't say hot topic, but it's a topic in agriculture that, I don't know if any of you watch TikTok, but I see TikToks, TikToks all the time about it, and
I haven't got to that side. But you know your phone's
We need
listening.
help.
so your phone
No,
Very, very.
and it has to start somewhere.
yeah,
With the awareness
Yeah.
and what you're doing is, good job.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Will you let us know how you do?
Yeah, I will let one of you guys, probably Mr. Peter.
Yeah.
I don't
We
think
want
so.
to know.
Okay, thank you for listening to my speech, I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you.
You're doing a good job. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys, for letting her come.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks for setting us up there.
No pressure, no pressure, ladies.
Oh, gosh.
Here's some of these for you guys, for we should have, we have, and then I got some more to pass around to you.
Wait for you.
There's, I guess I only put off like a couple packets of everything if you guys wanna pass it around. Sorry about that. Okay, so my name is Addie Westerkamp. You guys were in my room a while ago when you got to try some yummy food and experience stuff in the family consumer world. This is Keely as well. She's stepping in for Mecca and is a long-term sub, and she's done a great job, and I just really appreciate her for doing that. So we are coming to you guys to kind of discuss family consumer science and FCCLA. Since bringing back family consumer science courses to Centerville, it is a state requirement set that every family consumer science program has an FCCLA organization established by the fall of 2024. However you want to go about your organization is up to you, what you want the kids to do. Every school size has a little different play on that, but we would like to present what we would like to do with that. And okay, all right. So in the packet towards the top, it basically just talks about how family consumer science is doing and that we are doing a really good job, or at least in my opinion, of applying real world concepts to the kids in the classroom. I get the benefit of being at the middle school and the high school, so I can kind of lead both of those different age groups and levels. Down below, it talks about Family Consumer Science, or FCCLA, excuse me, which stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. There's organizations at the local, state, and national level. There's 4 different topics of human service, hospitality and tourism, education and training, and visual arts and design. So basically, it's a way of showing kids that there's a lot more out there than what you think there is for the career that you could possibly go into. And a lot of kids aren't aware of what maybe hospitality and tourism all involves, or what visual arts involves, or what like education. You know, a lot of people think teachers, at least that's what the kids think, but it's a lot more when it comes to education than just that. So this we like to call as an intracurricular organization. It is not extracurricular, meaning that it's not going to run into a basketball problem after school, or it's not going to necessarily coincide with something else. However, we'll kind of discuss later what might, oh gosh, sorry, this is really squeaky. What might happen 7 through 12. A bonus to take away from it is that if you decide that FCCLA is something that you want to join, it can also coincide with other groups. So like FFA just came and talked, we can work with them. FBLA gets established, we can work with FBLA as well, which is Future Business Leaders of America, which is really nice because our family consumer science is everything. So it's really nice that we can go through and just kind of work with those groups as well. So our idea to present to you is what we call Big Red Express, or that is a coffee shop that we would like to establish. That is going to be our FCCLA organization. It is something that we would like to open just on Friday mornings to teachers, staff members, students from 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. So that is the only time that it would be considered extra, otherwise it's always intracurricular. And then eventually the goal is that it is going to be self-sufficient and it runs on its own. The students can talk business models, they can create the stuff in class because that's where it combines in with SCS courses. For me personally, I teach food service at the high school, so the kids have already started breaking down like cost requirements and how much it would take to make a muffin or a scone, or if we get like coffee syrups and what we would charge for stuff like that. They have a business model there. And then any intro to food service, or not intro to food service, nutrition and food prep 1, 2, and the baking class that I have in the afternoon. We're kind of creating menus and testing different products that we would like to make and stuff like that.
And I have the child development, parenting side of it, and then I also do sewing, and I have a baking class as well. My baking class has really started to do different things that we could serve in the morning for our different ones. We've included staff members giving feedback to the kids of what they like, what they don't like, really stepping out of the comfort zone for those things. We've done some different challenges and things, and kids have really enjoyed that. My sewing class, we've started making projects such as hot pad holders that we could use in the kitchen, but we could also use as a fundraiser to help in our merchandising and those kind of things that they can build in building life skills.
We currently surveyed all of our kids that are taking a family consumer science course right now. However, if you're not taking a family consumer science course, you can also join this organization. But there's 14 students who are interested in it so far, pending approvals and whatnot. There is a state competition that the kids would like to go to. That's March 17th through the 19th. And I passed out some little details as far as the levels of competition that we are going to compete at if we can. There's a cake decorating one, a Pride of Iowa, which is a food recipe that represents Iowa, the thematic table design, a $20 clothing challenge. We also have a creed speaking, kind of like what FFA has with their creed speaking, and then a food truck challenge as well, where you design a food truck and have to produce a meal that goes with it and all the business side of that. Those are the 6 that we would like the kids, along with what they would like to do as far as participation goes. There's a lot more competitions, like 40, there's a lot. Those are the 6 that we kind of decided that would fit well with us.
That was achievable in our time frame too, that we felt comfortable taking and producing good feedback for both students and us.
So I guess we decided like why we went with Big Red Express was that one, because it's a requirement that meets the state needs, but it's not overwhelming. So one of the professional developments that I went to in Ottumwa last October, we got to be in Ottumwa's Family Consumer Science building that they have. They bought a building off of the city, and they have a full, it's like 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. running restaurant. Granted, their school hours work, they have block scheduling, so they have kids there for like 3 hours a day, and then the next group comes in. But we thought that this would be good because it gets the kids in there in the morning, but also we can use it during our class time wisely as needed. And it's not just focused on SCCLA because we're trying to get family consumer science, that's the main portion of it. This is just an added bonus to it. We can also work with the other groups, like I said, like FFA, FBLA. Also, just to touch on it again, that our goal is to become self-sufficient with everything. Startup cost, pending what we decide there, that's our goal.
So what are your startup costs?
That depends on exactly what we're looking for. So like my kids right now, we're breaking down costs of stuff, or we have like an Amazon wish list that we started and just seeing what that final number is. I couldn't give you a final number, but I probably could by the end of the week.
1,000, 5,000, 10,000?
Maybe a little over 1,000 is my guess. The main part of it is like if we do a coffee shop, we're obviously gonna have to buy like a coffee machine or an espresso machine, and that's where the bulk of it is. But that's where like when we get going, especially with our beverages and our like scones and breakfast foods like that, I think it would really take off and eventually pay that off and then become self-sufficient. Any questions?
A lot of the schools said that they're 99.9% self-efficient. It's the startup cost that really gets them going and and what sets them off from not being totally self-efficient.
So are you making a Shark Tank presentation right now?
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
I
said yes.
The good news is, a lot of those things are already kind of run through. We've got activity funds that we use to do a lot of that in-house, so like, we know we're okay to do like the contests and stuff. I think one thing that we've talked about, and I've kind of shared, one of my goals for us as a high school, is to be a school where there's a place for everybody to belong that's not just going to class during the day. And I think this has an opportunity for us to get another sector of kids that we're not serving with those extracurriculars. And I think there's real power in that. And competition is really a big motivator for kids. So I'm super excited about you guys being excited about competition, to be honest.
The 14 kids as well that have signed up or shown interest in it come from across the board, 9 through 12, but also, like I've got just a couple basketball teams in there that are interested in it, and some that are in the play, and some that do not necessarily have an extracurricular that they're interested in, but they enjoy this stuff. They take a lot of Keeley's classes in the morning, or they've got the afternoon one as well, that the kids talk about it a lot and enjoy it.
That's very important.
I think one of them that we have ended to do, I have her 3 times a day.
Oh,
And then I think she even takes a class with her, so I mean, half of her day, she's a senior, so it gives us a little bit more of a flexibility in her schedule, but she's super excited that we have these classes to offer her, that she can be in here and do those things.
so once you got up and going, would the profit be, I mean, would you hope to make a profit, or are you just going to sell the items just to cover your costs?
I think our goal is that eventually we would just like to keep on growing, and that, you know, start out like 1 day a week for a small amount of time, and then as we get going and get more comfortable and show what we need is, well, we can add this to our menu and we can grow from there, not just be 1 day a week, but maybe 2 or 3, or instead of 7 to 8 being 7 to 10, or maybe even open up that during that lunch hour time.
The last thing I want to note as well is that when I went to my professional development, and I'm also going to another one tomorrow in Ottumwa, that a lot of kids receive a lot of scholarships when they're in this as well for post-secondary education. And we got to talk to some Indian Hills representatives with their culinary arts program, and then also Iowa State. I'm currently taking classes through there for some family consumer science endorsement classes. But they do the same thing, that they are very generous to the students when they are in FCCLA, that they are like, yes, absolutely, we want you to continue this, especially if you find a very high interest in it, and the scholarship is a big thing for them too.
Mike, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I got a couple points, I guess. I guess moving forward, I think this is perfect for what we're doing at the high school with the new addition. And with the room being right there, next to the new addition, I think it's perfect, it makes total sense. The other thing, I subbed
Appreciate you.
for this Western camp last week, so I didn't know what to expect, quite honestly. And I was very happy to see the numbers that are in those classes. And they came right in, some of them were working on their cost breakdowns, some of them went right to the kitchen. They were really into it, you could see they're bought into the system. So it was good to see. So, I think it's something that definitely keep moving forward with.
The last 2 packets that I handed out, I just want to know have more stuff involved in SCCLA if you wanted to take a look at that at all or if you had any questions. That is just the Iowa FCCLA stuff that's at the state, not the national level, but there's some more information in there if you want to look at
I
it.
guess one thing, what is there, so you said the FCCLA is, you go from 7 to 12?
It can go grades 7 to 12.
Okay.
We were just going 8 to 12.
8 to 12, and they do have a level for post-secondary
Yeah.
that you can continue on.
But is there, I guess, where there be plans to involve the 8th grade?
Eventually down the road, I think taking on 8th grade with the time limit that we have right now is a lot. So I just wanna start off slow and make sure we're not putting ourselves in a hole. Yeah, no, not exactly. But like the levels of competition too, when we go to the state level, there's like a level 1, which is 8th grade, and then level 2 is 9, 10, level 3 is 11, 12, and then post-secondary is level 4. So just trying to figure out where we get those kids in the levels, and then depending on what competition they want out of the 6. But that would be an end goal. That would be an end goal for sure.
I think that would be a really good system to have in place in the middle school.
The recruiting
Yeah.
tool.
Yeah. I know the kids at middle school, they're always like, can you please cook today? I'm like, we don't even want over how to wash your hands.
I was happy
And
though.
thank you for
It was
that.
amazing to see, so when I did sub, I think it was 8th grade,
Yeah.
basically doing, check deposits,
Oh, yeah.
different things like that, that's huge.
Yeah, we're working on a check and balance
Yeah.
unit right now, so they had to write checks and use cursive handwriting, that's been our biggest
Oh, yeah.
challenge, but we've been doing that, and, yeah.
Of course, I explained to them what happens if they write a check and they don't have their check. I told them they see me in a different aspect, so they started writing down their
Yeah, they
registry, they did it real well.
I talked to Mr.
Yeah.
Taylor a little bit about this, but, you know, being in the financial sector, to have FCS back in the district is good. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had, you know, young adults in my office and, you know, we can, you know, teach them that the sky is blue, but then when it comes to real life, real world, they haven't been getting it, so you know.
Joe Mobley's done a good job too, with me personally, we do have our once a week meetings and trying to get some more background on that, so she's got me connected with a couple of family consumer science teachers, and I graduated from Moulton, and Diana Davis was my teacher over there, and she's my neighbor down the road, so I've talked to her a lot about the course too, and what she does do that.
So, thank you for presenting. I'm glad we finally got to hear about the Big Red Express, because Mr. Taylor told me about this several months ago, and I've been waiting for this. And I know this is a presentation, so we can't take action and say, yes, we'll fund it. That's not something we can do per the way the agenda was laid out today. But I have some funding ideas that I talked to Mr. Taylor about, to get you started up, that we can talk about sometime. That it's the Shark Tank Creative Financing Program.
Okay.
Can I
I
have,
don't-
All legal.
All legal.
Express
Looks
that.
like Kevin Leary.
It's all, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's all legal, and it's
Start
one
getting
way
the
that you
swirl.
can get started, that you can get started without a lot of, if we can work this through, how I'm thinking, you can start without a lot of cash up front, and you just kind of pay it back through sales.
Okay.
So,
You, Jill Whistler, who works for Indian Hills, started the very same coffee program at the high school she worked at in Oregon, started and ran it, and it was very successful. She would be a good resource for you.
We'll have conversations.
Yeah, we'll see her tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you see her, yeah,
Oh, we see her.
yeah, put a,
Let's call her down. We need you coming out.
Okay.
and I thank you for taking this on and filling these positions, and I'm so happy for our kids that they have your programs and classes, and just thank you.
Thank you guys.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Libby?
Well, the next presentation, I think we're gonna have an action item, because it does say approval on it, is, for the high school edition, we're gonna have a presentation here on the furniture plan. First of all, thank you for everyone down that came down from Marion to the Rapids area. And you gotta go back tonight?
Yep, we're gonna drive back.
Drive, thank you.
Yep, we're gonna sneak out when we're done.
Thank you for allowing us to let the students come in first. That's something we started a couple of years ago, having students present, and it's kind of hybrid with our board meetings sometimes. We do want to hear from students, because obviously the decision we're gonna make tonight
Yeah.
directly affects them, and one way that we've learned to connect with kids by just having them come and talk to the board. So thanks for that, otherwise we would have had you first. But
No, I think that's great, and actually it
I was
was.
gonna wrestle them to have them present for us.
That's what I was just gonna say is, what a great way for us to be, exposed more to what your community is and the bright future that our world has. It's very, I don't wanna cry, because sometimes it just seems like there's a lot of heavy stuff going on, and just see these young kids speak up like that, and what a difference they're gonna make in this world. It's just such a breath of fresh air to see that. And also the growth and the ideas that you're bringing into your community, and, I mean, a coffee shop, what a great thing to get those kids and and have them build a business model. As a small business owner myself, and this is my husband, this is Scott, and I'm Becky, we're just a small business owners, small family. We're out of Marion, we've been in business for just over 20 years, and somehow we're still married, but sometimes we're like, ah!
That's why I'm
But no,
going to
it's good.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, no, it's good, but just to see that being built in those kids at a young age too, because it's so important, because I think sometimes we forget that we still need those business owners, we still need, those agriculture, we need all those things, and so just to see that in the community is wonderful.
Hey,
So,
Becky, not
yeah.
to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
just so everybody knows, the pricing in your packet is incorrect. We actually did a little bit of extra work there, so the ones that got put in your spot are correct. For those, again, playing along at home, the big change is, we had some graphic decals to go on the front door. We're looking to price out some potentially ballistic graphic decals instead, so we pulled those off. So the window coverings you see in the new plan are just like blinds in the offices and classrooms and things like that, that have those available.
Which is this right here.
Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yep, nope, you're okay, you're good. Okay, so I'll get started, if you wanna just kinda, I can see over here. All right, we're gonna start with the classrooms. I don't know if you noticed when you came in, there was a table and a chair sitting out there. When you get done with the meeting, please take some time to look at those samples that we have here. The table is a Dura Series table, which means that it has a unitized frame to it, so it's got extra durability. If you can see underneath on that picture there, instead of just the legs attached to the top, it's a full unified frame. So if the kids are moving it around like they're gonna be moving them, they're gonna be trying to collaborate, they're gonna be doing all kinds of things in the classroom. The legs aren't just gonna pull out when you're moving it. It's gonna be nice and durable, and everything on here, all the classroom furniture has a 15-year warranty. The chairs are a cantilever you can hit. Are a cantilever chair, and those chairs can sit right up on the table. So your custodians will love them. They're easy to put up there. You can vacuum. You don't have to stack them and get them all the way. They just kind of sit on the table. They have extra, like a little pad or a little plastic piece underneath that will protect the table too, so that it's not going to scratch. Your new furniture, and again, 15-year warranty. The company that these are made in is out of New Jersey. It's called Academia. They have, they hand weld everything. Everything is hand welded, and they've been in business for over 20 years. And in those 20 years, they still only have one customer service rep, which tells you a lot about their business. They ship furniture to all over the United States, and to only have one customer service rep, that speaks volumes. Every 50 of one product SKU that you buy, you get one for free. And that helps, so if you have something in shipment that would break, which we rarely ever see, but if it should, then you have one there already, just in case you would need it. And that way, when school starts, you're not behind on anything. So
But if two break, they're gonna obviously send a second one, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they do. Yep.
Are the tables, are those designed for the 2 students at the table? Or what are those designed for?
4 students. Yep, so they're 30 by 72. So you could actually fit 6 students at the table, but we made it so that there would be 6 tables per classroom, so there would be 4 students, so they have a little extra room to sit and spread out if they have a computer or have, books, and they have extra space to work.
Now, I don't spend a lot of time in classrooms, but 4 students around that desk, right, is that big enough for that space?
Not the desk, the table.
Table.
I mean, the table, I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah,
I
it's out
misspoke, I
here.
misspoke.
It's out here, you could see it.
Yeah, I was out
Plenty
there
of
looking at it,
space.
so we get 4 students around that table.
Mhm.
Okay,
Small students.
yeah. It's not Mike and
I mean,
I.
I can fit in the end, and if I qualify as small, then I'm
Little guy like you.
yeah, I'll take it.
I'm just thinking how big these tables are.
The tables you're sitting at are 24 inches deep, these are 30 inches deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're a little bit deeper and they're a little
Okay.
bit longer, so you're gonna fit 4
Yeah.
students there.
Okay.
Yeah, because typically, a lot of schools will put 6 students at it. And actually, in a lot of schools, we'll put in 30 by 60 in a classroom versus 30 by 72.
Okay.
So we went a little bit bigger, a little wider to fit those students. And then we
Two
also
of the
went with,
school staff were working on this with them, are bigger guys, so we kinda worked on spread out space, cause we both sat at that table with the two different chair types to make sure we were comfortable there.
And how many per classroom?
24 is usually on the big
24.
side,
No, how many desks per
oh,
classroom?
six.
six tables.
Six of the tables,
Mhm.
yeah.
Seems like plenty of room there.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty good. Like Brad said, I think there's a number of classes where it isn't 24 kids, like 18 kids. So that kinda helps too. But and I don't know if we talked about this, so we bought, how many did we put in of the desk?
I think we put in 12, if I remember
That
right.
sounds right.
We put just some desks, just in case you have a student that needs to have their own space for whatever reason. Sometimes you get that
Like maybe
student.
they're like
that-
their superintendent and they're kinda fidgety
Yeah.
and they need a little somewhere to sit.
Mhm.
The reason that we wanted to buy these desks to go with that is cause then it'll match what's in the classroom, so you won't have this weird random desk sitting at the back that, somebody has to feel awkward sitting at that.
Yep, they'll match, and then these are also, you can adjust them from sitting height to standing height. So if you have a student that needs to stand, you have that option as well. And if you wanna, make it a group of 4 in one classroom, you need a special project where you just need to bring in some desks, you have some options with that. Okay. Any questions on the classroom furniture? And then we just went with a double pedestal, excuse me, standard teacher desk. It's a very well-built, solid, just standard teacher desk, 30 by 60.
Matching laminate.
Yep, matching laminate, excuse me.
Which is very similar by the way to go. So that now in the building, they've got the countertops on some of the, maybe it's all of them, I didn't go in every room, but many of the cabinets. The top of these tables is super similar to the countertop on the cabinets in the room that got put in.
Excuse me.
And I think Scott, you guys kind of worked with Rochelle to kind of get some of that information to make that
The
happen.
laminates are almost identical.
Yeah.
There's the case. The standard on teacher's task chair, very similar to what you're sitting on now.
So this is where we made just a little step up. Remember, we talked at the last meeting about, we initially bid a little bit cheaper chair, but we just kind of thought it's nice to have a little nicer chair for the staff to sit in when they have to do work, like a work day or something.
Fusion. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I got this little tickle in my throat. And then we also have the standing height fusion desk that will be for the teachers so that they can be mobile and move around the classroom.
With their laptop, yeah. And I think we've talked a lot about how we think that some people are gonna bring still with them. I have a wife who's very interested in her podium that she's got, so a lot of people will still bring their podium in. So this is more for while I'm at the podium teaching, before I wander around the room during the lesson, my laptop is there to present up to the screen.
It's got a cup holder and another little storage canister in the front of it as well. And it's hydraulic lift up and down. You don't have to put any screws or anything. Again, matching laminates. It's just extra storage for the classrooms. Teachers need a book.
Yeah, that was something that came up for us later after we'd kind of been working through that. And feel free to, if you see something that I missed, Brad, but we actually hadn't initially bid on the bookcase. And then after taking, I can't remember when that was, but we took teachers through at one point, and then we kind of received some feedback that, well, where am I gonna put my books? I need a bookcase. Well, gosh, that's a good idea. Let's get you a bookcase. Because, all of the casework that's going in has doors on it, so it's not a great place to display books for students to be able to get and take home to read. So this gives them a nice space to do that.
So what is that made out of?
It's solid hardwood
Okay.
with a laminate finish, so it matches the casework laminate. Now we're starting to go into some of the special classrooms.
Should we talk to this one?
Dura series,
Strat 2 room.
Yeah, the Strat 2 room, our Strat 2 program's a little bit in flux, we're not even sure what it's gonna look like, so we didn't wanna buy a bunch of stuff. We kinda bought the basics, like, we think this teacher table, your classic kidney kinda table is.
And it'll have the other tables that we're getting for a
Yes.
classroom, but, this kidney table is to make sure, because you really need that in a Strat 2 room if you do alternate assessment. You have to be able to kind of sit at the table with the kids and have your laptop on your teacher's side and go through that. And then there's another piece here, this room divider, which can be really useful in a Strat 2 room, depending on the needs in that specific room.
And one of the things I think on the furniture we kinda talked about, we wanted everything to kinda look alike. That's why we went with the same thing everywhere, so, if we don't need 6 tables here and we need 7 here, we can move it and it all looks the same, it's not mismatched, because when we started looking through the classrooms we have now, we have a lot of mix match stuff that doesn't, it's been brought from here and there, and we wanted the new place to really look like it's supposed to look when it's brand new, so.
Brad, do the math classrooms have whiteboards in them? I'm hearing some rumbling of the math teachers want the whiteboards.
Oh, I was just in there and I made sure to point out to the kids and I said, go back and tell the teachers, they have 2 smaller whiteboards.
Probably about that size.
On the opposite side of the TV, then the other wall, the opposite wall, they have a huge whiteboard.
Oh, so is this a new development because?
They just hung them.
Okay.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
plenty of whiteboard space.
whiteboards in the classroom, there's a wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, that's great.
And I know
That's good to
another
know.
one we heard when we went through was that there aren't enough plugins. I counted there are 24 plugins in each classroom, so.
Yeah.
That's
more than anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go to my office, there's one.
yeah.
Go to Central.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, no.
Central.
I know.
For like those ginormous stuff.
Extension cords everywhere.
Okay.
Fire hazards.
That's awesome.
They didn't need electricity in that school.
Uh,
Now we're going into the
Yeah, I'm
cafeteria
glad that I
commons.
brought that up, because that will make, people are not informed, I guess, including me.
I am really excited about this plan.
Able to call.
And the Big Red Express, some of the stuff I think will lend itself nicely to the Big Red Express, especially, the counters and that booth kind of seating. I think that will really,
Kids.
And can that operate out of the kitchen then, Big Red Express, or does that have to be a separate?
That's a good question.
and I think it'll be out of our kitchen. I'm assuming we'll have some kind of mobile unit where they move it to the commons area.
These are,
Yeah,
those
it'll
are
be
the
on-
edge colors of the tables, and
No,
then
I
there's,
don't. You see that one too?
there's the fiberglass, which is for the booths. There's laminates that are for the tops. It's gonna be a mixture of laminates and logos and.
Very beautiful.
So the logos you see there aren't what they're going to be.
Yeah.
Once we know we've got approval to move forward, then we will start to work on what the actual logo is.
Right.
This is just to give us space plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we went with multiple seating options for kids, we got some round tables, some square tables, some booths, some high tops, things like that, just to give kids a choice where they sit.
So what would the seating comparison be right now between what we currently have and what we're looking at?
How many seats you need?
Yeah,
It's more, I know that, and we actually changed a couple things from the original plan to increase the number, so that if we wanted to reduce the number of lunch sections in the future, and maybe have more kids in the lunchroom for any various reasons, we could have that. We'd be able to do that
218.
if you pick up more.
I hear you. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because our goal was to make sure that within a couple lunch shifts, we'd be able to fit all of our kids.
okay,
Um, I think that's kind of what we were.
yeah.
That is super exciting.
This is just a slide showing the booth.
So there's a couple different booth, color coordinated. It'd be a showstopper for sure. A great space to show your community who you are, and those who come in for other, basketball events or just events, it's really gonna speak Centerville.
I know the group of,
Really
I
fun.
took some students in Friday. I have an advisory group of kids I took into the new building, and that commons area really got their attention.
Oh, you gave some kids just a tour?
Yeah.
You.
Try to get them talking a little bit, but yeah, that commons area was really an area that they're kind of drawn to. They're talking about how neat they thought it would be, and
Didn't you say the locker area was?
the locker, and they were pretty impressed with the locker room.
Which, cause I know among us adults, it definitely had good and bad, but apparently for the kids, it went over really well.
Okay, so this was a concern of mine for the booths, that it's not gonna be like a restaurant booth where there's plethora.
No, it is fiberglass.
Okay,
So
it can't be,
those,
it's not gonna be cut,
there's
it's
three
not gonna
colors
be-
there that are fiberglass, those what that is. And they actually fold up and can roll away, so it's great for your custodians. Again, everything has a gas lift versus old torsion bars, so everything's gonna be easy to roll up, fold up, move out of the way, to clean, or when you have other events, or to move for, special events, if you just want your booths out or different tables out. It's gonna be really flexible space as well.
It's a chubby guy, why didn't you do the part a little bit, to get a little more belly.
So these are the elliptical tables, and we spoke with Mark and Brad a little bit about the importance of having elliptical and round, because in a large space, it can get noisy. When you get a lot of kids in there, having that elliptical and that round helps absorb that sound because you're talking to each other in a circle versus down that way or down that way. So it does help with the sound piece. Plus in those ellipticals, you're gonna get 12 students at a chair, at a table. And I think we added, well, we have to look at that, because we'll probably have to add look at ADA. Also, but they just remove one stool from it.
So how many of those are we getting? Those three?
I'd have to look and see how many of the ellipticals. 7?
7.
Yeah, there's the full thing. The only thing we took out was that half round there.
And it
That
is
piece
really
out.
cool,
Yeah,
but I think the total for all of the stuff to go to that was like 26,000 or
it was a
27,000.
lot, yeah.
So instead, we replaced that with, I think it was a round
Yeah.
table that we
Yeah.
put in there. Cause that's got like stools at the back and
Mhm.
chairs in the front.
Yeah.
It's super
It's
neat.
super cool. But
I'm
you're
very
still getting your, what you need in a space with also your, what I would say bling,
Yeah.
without spending that extra dollar, so. And again, we'll look at the logos and make sure that it's approved before anything went through.
This slide showing round and square seats, that's the only other thing that needs to be.
Which you could choose, you can have a mix or you could have one. Which I could send you the sample.
I think the
of them.
picture showed round, didn't it? Am I-
Most of them do, yeah, but they do have a square one also, which is nice.
I wonder what would be more comfortable.
Maybe we should like survey kids on that a little bit.
The square's,
We'll do that.
the square's 15% larger.
Well, I do like a large
I could
seat.
send, I could send them to you, so you can see them and the kids can
Oh.
say, hey, we like this, or we
Kid.
don't. Mhm.
Kid kind of survey thing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not to get kid input.
Yeah, yeah, and that'd be a great one, because they're the ones who
Yeah.
have to sit in those.
And the square's brand new, just this last
Awesome.
quarter
Yeah.
is available.
And which ones are these?
That would be the edge for one of the tables. Scott, if you go back. Yeah, so if you look at this one on the right, so it would have a gray edge. What else do you have there? So that would be one of the tops, the
That's
laminate
neat.
on the left.
That's neat.
Yeah, they do a really good job. This company is based out of, just outside of Chicago, and everything is made in America. So that's really good too, and it will ship directly here with its own trucks and,
So
it's just
does
really
it
nice.
come assembled?
No,
Oh.
They,
which we did
Well,
add
the
that.
The cafeteria comes with everything but the stools, the
You just
classroom
have the stools
furniture.
on. Mhm.
Our team is here to unload and put
Okay.
it together.
Put legs on,
You know,
put everything
stage-
together for
stage.
you, And the other thing that we do is we come in and we send our installers to pre-measure, to field check everything to make sure before we order anything, to make sure all the shelving would fit in the library, everything's gonna fit, because even though we have the renderings from the architect, it doesn't mean that's exactly what it is. So we wanna make sure that
Okay.
everything's what we're expecting it to be, so when we unload it,
We're good with sign.
we don't have a lot of, oh boy.
Yeah.
What's the time frame between ordering it and having it delivered usually?
Well, the logo tables, I can tell you, is the thing that's gonna take the longest. And those are probably 12, depending on how long it takes you to order. I mean,
Yeah.
those, once we start getting into we're starting to get into that time frame where schools are ordering, so our manufacturers are getting busy.
Both of these
12 to 17
manufacturers,
weeks.
both of these
Okay.
manufacturers will manufacture it today to deliver July 18th.
Yes.
Meaning they'll store it, as soon as we tell them, the sooner we order it,
Yeah.
and we tell them we want it, everybody wants it July 1st at
Yeah.
the start of the school year, but we can literally tell them, manufacture, I was just in Chicago at AmTab last Friday. They have over 28,000 square feet already stored for stuff next school year, and they have 100,000 square feet devoted to manufacture now, deliver in summertime. Now, the closer and closer it happens every year, a lot of schools, smaller orders, they'll wait till July 15th to order and want it here by August 15th, and that gets a little more challenging, but
And the good news is, we're early enough, working on this today to be able to get it ordered in
Yep.
enough time. That's one thing we've really stayed tight on timelines
Yeah.
that we worked
So
through.
the goal would be to get it ordered, and then we could set a date, say, hey, you know what, we want it, mid-July, and even come mid-July, okay, construction's still behind, okay, we need it end of July. No, but our manufacturers will store it, and we'll say, okay, we're ready for you to ship it. But the thing is, we want them to build it so it's ready. So when we say go, we're ready to go.
I'm doing the same exercise in the Twin Cities tomorrow morning, and they're 2.5 months behind schedule right now on their projects. And
We are
they're,
on schedule and on budget.
Woo-hoo!
And we are, like 18 months in this project, we're on time and on schedule.
That never happens.
Yeah.
Everybody has proof.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these particular units are my favorite, my all-time favorite. They have, these are 42 inches high, so they're standing height, and these stools will pop up and fold underneath. So if you don't want to sit, you can just stand up against it, the stools will go underneath. When they do come out, they have a little bit of a hydraulic piece that will kind of push down to the floor. They won't scratch the floor, they'll just pop down, and then you pull them up and push them back in. So again, great for custodians, they love it. And they're mobile, they're easy, and they're a great way to kind of showcase, they're fantastic, my favorite. So I think we have like 6 of those, I wanna say.
Yeah, some combination of logo and non-logo. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and those are great for like your concession areas.
I would be concerned with putting red together on there, just because that's our logo now. In 10 years, are we gonna have?
Right. Well, that's
Yeah.
kind of what we've talked about. We want to
That's what we
stay
talked
with
about.
something that'll be kind of classic and last
Yeah.
long-term.
Yep, so we gotta kind of go back, but they wanted to put something together to kind of just give you a visual, but all this is,
Thanks for,
we can work with, yeah.
I agree.
What?
I
I got a question. With the folding or the rolling and the different things, is there any service or if we need some, is it something that we'd have to have somebody come in and do, or is it something that our maintenance could?
Both.
you shouldn't have to.
You
Like
shouldn't
those-
have to, they should last.
These
longer.
casters are 4-inch double ball bearing casters. The analogy they always use, everybody can relate to going to the grocery store and getting a shopping cart where you've got one caster. Those are single ball bearing. We haven't replaced a single one of these.
In the 20 years we've been selling them. And not only that, if there has been an issue, like we had, there was an issue with a table that was not folding up correctly, they'll come and they'll swap it out, they'll come pick it up, take it back to the factory, fix it, and bring it back. Or they'll send someone out to do it. We also have our own installers who are well versed on these tables and can come out and take a look at them and So, yes, we stand behind what we do. We will not sell anything that is not quality, that you're not gonna love and appreciate the value of them. Yeah.
Now we're in the
I
hallway.
can see lots of wheels and a long way.
Well, we can do gray wheels.
You had to bring up the rate.
I'm back at 16 years old thinking, what would I do?
Oh, gee, yeah, fair enough.
It's a narrow ramp. I think we'll be okay.
Okay, so now we're in the corridor, and so there's some different hallway areas, that will be great spots for students and staff, everyone to kind of, work.
Breakout sessions.
Yeah, breakout sessions, you name it. And I have here the fabrics for that.
And this, when we were talking about this, Becky's like, how do you think you envision gonna use this space? And our answer was, we have no idea, because we have nothing like this now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a neat space, the kids were really drawn to the one in the classroom wing with the soft seating and little gathering spot for them.
Yep. All these fabrics are highly durable, they're antimicrobial, so you're not gonna they're gonna be easy to clean. They have what's called, DR, which is the double rub, which means the higher the number, the better. That means how many times you kind of get up and sit down. And these have over 1 million. So they're gonna last a long time. They're very durable. You don't have to worry about, them, unless you have, if you get a student who cuts it, I mean, that's different, but
But
they're
it's all
highly
in
durable,
fairly well
easy, they're all,
areas.
yes, they're very, they're vinyl, so they're easy to wipe off and clean, you're not gonna have any issues with them. And they hit all the fire, flammability, restrictions, and they meet all those marks as well. We put these in schools all the time. So they're kind of fun colors and fun shapes and different areas. And this is the one that we like the most. It's kind of that, it's called a quarterback chair.
This is your crooked hallway.
And so this one, this area, we just put in a little table with theirs are called toad, or push pop stools, actually. And then you'll have one of your little TVs there. So students can do, work on it, like just where they were talking here, that students can put together presentations, or they can work on things together, in a little area in the hall. So that's what that space is meant for. Same thing here, another work area, with some soft seating. Kids can hang out and.
Don't we have these at the middle school?
They put some soft seating in the front of the middle school. It's probably not a spot that I would have thought would have been productive. Problem with middle school is you really have to be highly supervised. And it's not a really highly supervised spot except for by the office. So we've kind of moved on from using soft seating there and using tables in that spot. The nice thing about the places where these soft seating kind of work areas are located is they're all where they'll be well supervised. So, and high schoolers just do a little bit better with a little independence than middle schoolers. I think everybody who's owned a middle schooler before knows that. Yeah.
And I think also they're located where the kids would be. I mean, they don't have to go to it. I mean, it's right outside the room, or it's so.
Yeah.
I just wondered if they were
Yeah.
utilized there.
Yeah,
things like that.
I really think these are, they were utilized, I would say, and Mike, you've subbed in there, they were utilized, but maybe not for the purpose we wanted there.
Yeah, it was not
Say no more.
it was not a good idea at the middle school.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these have little, these have just little workstation, laptop, they're called laptop tables, so if they have a laptop or they gotta work on an individual project or read, there's just little tables that go with these. The same with these chairs at the bottom, those are connected, They're very durable, it's connected along the bottom of it, and it's welded on there, so there should be no issue. Of course, we don't want kids sitting on it, but they're very durable, so.
It's not the chairs, not the table.
Yeah.
On the chair, yeah, not on the table, but, yeah. So we worked really hard to find, you know.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no.
Can you go back to that? Did I see is that an outlet in the chair?
In the back?
On the side chair.
On the side.
On the side, sure. Oh, you can do that. We didn't price it that way, that picture does have it, but you can do that if you wanted to. But they do that, yes.
It's probably not a bad idea.
So
Yeah.
this is something
There might
that
be
we
some
said
areas you
through
might
this
need to
process a lot to get to this point. There's probably an extra cost for that, right?
Yeah, but I
So
don't
we're
think
probably
that's
not
huge.
as
If
interested.
you're gonna
Yeah.
plug inside the chair, the chair's gonna have to be plugged
Plug
in.
in.
Yeah, so
Just
just
plug
plug
into the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't worry about it.
yep,
I think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, if you're,
There was
if
a
you're
lot
gonna,
of-
you're gonna have to have it close.
The last time I did the
anyway.
walkthrough there was a lot of outlets.
Mhm.
Two in the
there's a lot of outlets in
building.
that.
Yeah,
Compared to an older
you shouldn't have an issue.
school, it's,
Thank you for saying that, because
Yeah.
there's been some questions we didn't have enough. We appreciate that feedback.
Yeah. I think you do.
We'll know more in about a year.
So this is, now we're moving into the
True.
media center. This is the circulation desk. As you know, the media center is not a huge space. So we went with a mobile circulation desk. Really fun, but it gives, it gives what you need right there. It's got a book return and a book truck right there, and a transaction counter, the colors that will match the space. And then also a pedestal file for storage.
Does the desk itself have any storage on the other side as far as shelving or?
It will just have that little pedestal file there.
Okay.
So there's an office right
Yeah.
behind that we've got a desk and some, table in there.
Yeah.
or for
We'll
checking
co-
and
yeah,
checking out
we'll,
books.
yeah, we'll get to that too. And then there's your bookcases, and that there is what we will come in and field measure to make sure that, you know, that's gonna fit correctly.
And if it, we can field count it if it doesn't.
Yeah, the ones in the front, those are double-sided and mobile, so those can be moved around. They're heavy, so they're not easy to move, which is a good thing, but they are movable, so,
Casters are concealed under the
Mhm.
kick
yeah.
plate.
Very well built. And this
So
is,
this
a-
is for the media center?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, so that's what the
How-
mobile unit, go ahead.
How much does a media center get used now, as opposed to?
Well, that's something we've
Everything,
talked
everything's
about.
on, everything, they do everything on the computer.
Right, so our hope is to see more use out of the media center in the new building, and I think having it centrally located is gonna help. But right now, the usage is really poor, so it's a big deal.
No, I think, yeah.
Not if I'm your teacher.
What's that?
I said, not if I'm your teacher, get in there and get a book.
Well, but I guess,
Look it up.
I guess, looking at it from my standpoint, or as a board member, if we have low media center usage, and quite frankly, everything's done on the computer, is it worth spending the money to?
I wanna push back and say what we've talked about through this whole process, if it's good, if the kids at Waukee can get it, the kids at Centerville deserve it too. And it's our job to make sure that they're using the media center. We're putting a media center back into Howard, which is the right thing to do, after it was taken out, and I think this really puts the pressure on us to get that right in a big way. But we've gotta build kids that wanna be readers, kids that wanna learn, using the ability to get a book and to read, and have some passion for that. And I think giving them a nice space helps.
It's also a study. I hear what you're saying. The way I'm looking at it is there's a small book study area, and would kids go in there and, you know, get homework done and work in there, it's a nice environment to do that.
They sure as heck hope to increase readership.
Bookstores are actually coming back.
You know, in our PD today, one of the things we talked about, Julie and I talked about, our kids don't read enough. And we're really trying to figure out ways to get our kids to read more. Most of the reading now is bullet points on a screen or a PowerPoint or something, just to sit down and really interact with the text. I much prefer to read a physical book than on a tablet or something, so, that space, when I was in it the first time I saw it with the glass in it, if you haven't seen the glass up, it blew me away, cause I was kind of skeptical of the space early, but then they put the glass up to make it, now you see what it is. And I think, you know, those bookshelves on that back wall will really make it pop.
You know, having the right staff who can
Yeah.
also encourage that as they're going through there and having those study nooks and things that were, I mean, I think, like Mr. Taylor said, it's on us to make it be more, but if it's never there, then we don't have that opportunity to help kids with that. And I have an avid reader as a freshman, and she prefers books. She doesn't rent, or she doesn't take them out of the high school library. I buy most of them, but she might now if it's more accessible and.
And I think it's accessible, because it's right there. It's not, you don't have to go, it's right there down
I
the
think
hall.
one job that we have to do to improve readership too, and this is kind of, well, it's a good topic, it's not the topic on the agenda, but we probably have to catch up on buying
Absolutely.
current and relevant books for kids too.
I would agree.
Because just looking
We
through the
fell
collection, we're not up to date.
A lot of it is the space, I think, too. We'll do probably 15 to 20 media centers this year, going from a traditional library to a media center. I compare it to, for usage and kids being excited, a pool becoming an aquatic center. You add a couple water slides to a pool and it becomes much more exciting than just going to a pool.
And really, you're not, this isn't overdoing it, because you've really got 10 tall bookcases and 10 double-sided. So it's not an extravagant amount of bookcases and bookshelves. But it's a good amount because where it's located, the kids are gonna come by and they're gonna see it. So hopefully that will draw them in just by, you know, the look of it, and then having the space around it where you have all that extra, the learning spaces and the study spaces that kind of draw the kids in. They're like, oh, maybe I'll grab a book because I want to be in this space. And that's the goal of what we're finding in a lot of media centers, where they're trying to draw those kids back in there. And so having that mix of spaces, so, yeah.
It's the location, I think, will help.
I agree.
The- Traditionally, the research shows that the ebook thing turned out to be that it's the older generation that likes an ebook. Simply because they don't have to get out to go to the library or whatever. They can increase the size of the print, they can do lots of adjustment like that. But young people are drawn back to the physical book. And given the opportunity to have a media center with something they want to read, I think it will.
We gotta catch up on that.
And I've got 2 elementary students, and I mean, they get books from the library, you know, weekly, and they enjoy reading paper books. My oldest is in 8th grade. He hasn't brought a book home since 5th grade.
Yeah.
So, and that's where the disconnect comes.
And unfortunately,
we
we
pulled that
hasn't
over
really
and
had a house to do that from.
Exactly.
And that's why we have to get that back in, just to
And
try to
the
keep it
reading
in front of
programs in
kids.
Lakeview.
I know, yeah, we're kind of getting off their presentation, so we're trying to get back
Just
on that.
want to get back on it just for a second, though, because, you know, Mike's wife is on the library board, and they have this program now that all the young kids get books from the Dolly Parton program. And so they're maybe more into books in the future too. You know, all the kids in the county have books.
Yeah, let's just get back, because they also have a long time, let's get back to the presentation.
No, it's good, it's a good conversation. So this is the learning area. These tables are flip tables. So they will flip and kind of nest together so that when you want to have more open space, they're not in the way. Because it is a smaller space. So we want to make sure that it's flexible and that there's room. And then the chairs, we went with not these chairs that are in the picture. We went with the chairs that we're going to put in all the classrooms. Just to kind of keep an overall consistency of what's going in the building, so.
And this is the library area
This is the
still?
library area still.
Right in front of those little study things.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, they're really nice.
So do those chairs stack?
They will stack,
Okay.
yep, they'll stack, so we can stack them and move them out of the way, and we can, you know, move the tables, flip them, and then nest them, and, just multi-use space, which is the goal for that space, is to have the flexibility there.
And there's, obviously the stand up and the low height.
Yeah, there's 2 standing height,
Yeah.
tables
Yeah.
as well.
That's right, I think. of that.
Just to give that variety for students to, sit at a higher level or lower. And then these are kind of little nooks where we have some more soft seating in there, where kids can study, they can do work in groups or
Just hang out.
just hang out. Yep.
I like that.
And again, same fabric, very durable. Kind of match what else you have going on in the school, and the flexibility is important because you can move things around in the building too. This is that office space in that media center, so we kept it simple. There's just a little L-shaped desk and a little pedestal file, and then a table.
Brad, what do you see happening in that space?
In the meeting center?
Well, that little office behind.
Depending on what we need, like I think the person we have right now, staff, that kind of does study hall and media, I don't think they'll need a space. But I do think we probably have some individuals in the out that might work out of our building that could use a space to call home and
Okay.
land there.
Or the offices.
This is, and you know what, I forgot to send these around. These are the laminates and stuff for the library. And then this black piece is the frame color. And then we'll go on to the offices. The offices, the colors were chosen by the architect, so we're going with what they chose. These are built by the inch. This manufacturer, we got to go through and talk to each member, each person, staff member that's gonna use the spaces and kind of design it how they're gonna see fit, within a budget. And so these are the colors for that. So this is the nurse's area, it's just a small, single desk, and then we put in a little table for students when they come in with chairs, and then a tall cabinet that's lockable so they can keep medicines and supplies that they need to keep in there. A recovery couch, also. Pretty simple, just basic for that space. The conference room, we just did a lockable credenza. And then one of the conference rooms is gonna have a table. I understand that the other conference room, the table's being built from an old gym floor, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a custom conference table for that, out of the office space.
Is there a
From-
bathroom in the nurse's office?
I
There's
think
a
there is.
shower.
I believe there is.
I think there's something there,
Okay.
yeah.
I know there's a shower, so I think there's a bathroom.
Okay.
Because they had to leave a hole in the wall to get the shower for
Yeah.
5 months.
Yeah, 'cause I think there's the mounting on the wall
I'm
too,
thinking a lot
so.
of stuff goes down in the nurse's office.
Oh, yeah. Lot of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
This would be Brad's office. So it's a U-shaped, and then we've got,
That image is stretched.
yeah, it is stretched a little bit. There will be, a wardrobe cabinet and a task chair, a couple guest chairs. Pretty simple, but it's built so that it fits in that space perfectly. And then this is, I don't know what specific, but Office C-105, so this has
Never
some
remember
uppers.
this one.
Is that the one, I think this would be the assistant
Okay,
principal's office.
okay. So that's upper cabinets and again, a couple guest chairs. And I think this one's the same, it's just flipped. There's a
Yeah.
C-105 and C-108, yeah.
Have you physically walked through the building?
Have I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you, okay.
It's been a while, but we did.
Yeah.
Brad took us through there, yes. And again, before we ordered anything, we would come through and we would take all the measurements again and make sure that everything is ready
I
to
just
go.
know reading some offices that I think are really small, I'm just not sure how
Mhm.
stuff's gonna fit in there. That's gonna be like right below downstairs where these are.
Yeah,
These are literally made to the inch.
by the
Custom,
inch.
so.
Mhm. So they took the renderings that were based off of, the architectural renderings and they fit these in the space. So literally these are built by the inch. And that's the wonderful thing about this manufacturer is they can fit it in any space or on any corner, under any window. And that's why we chose this manufacturer. You could probably speak on that space a little bit.
This is downstairs, I think, isn't it? So
See,
the council area, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we actually cut down the hutch for some of these, because these are offices that we would expect these people to be working with kids a lot more, and less with paperwork. So like our Indian Hills groups that we've got hosted.
Yeah, so there's two spaces that are the same, just simple, little storage but everything's consistent.
And this one's Savannah's office.
And then underneath those flipper cabinets, there's a little bulletin board as well, which is what that fabric piece is that was sent around. This is the reception area, which will have a logo on, which you guys can decide what you wanna do for the logo, but that's the front side of it.
Be in this long panel.
Yeah, so a logo would go on that tall piece there.
So that's the reception area to the guidance or to the main office?
To the
Main
Yeah,
office.
like right when you walk in the front entrance and you turn to the right, going to the
Mhm.
office.
And so then this is the other side, we added some storage there as well. And then this is the work side of it. And there's a couple mobile pedestals underneath there. And then a couple guest chairs, with your school colors and, and occasional table for that reception area.
Waiting room kind of deal.
Same fabrics that we have here.
Boxes or whatever's going.
And then this is,
There's a workroom.
and this is the window shades, these would be in the classrooms and the offices, and these have, these are able to, take the sunlight out. I mean, you could kind of see, you can't see in them through them from the outside during the day, but you can see out. But then it does help with utilities, there's a number of different things that these are very beneficial for, so.
What's the mechanism to go down?
Just a little pole,
Chain.
chain pole. And you could get electronic, but
It's a little bit
it's
overkill.
it's overkill.
Might would
Yeah.
be considered a safety feature as well.
Yes, they are. Yep.
And-
At night when the light's on, you can see in, but during the day, you can't.
And these are going in all rooms?
They would go in the classrooms and the offices. We have to still determine which windows, but, so we did an estimate of what we thought that would be.
Good idea.
I know one of the problems with windows, no matter what you do, is bird strikes, where they hit them. And of course, if you close those, that would take care of that problem. But if they're open, you've got a problem.
Yeah,
You can't avoid it, I understand that.
yeah,
I mean, there's ways to avoid it, but it's pretty expensive.
yes.
Especially if you have crab apples outside like our office.
Oh.
And they eat the rotten crab apples that have.
And I could send you a link to where you could see online where it will show like the differences and this has a 3 to 5% openness, which means that it takes out 97% of the sun or the light that's coming in. But it's enough that you still get some light from outside. But it takes that kind of glare out. So. And this is Hunter Douglas, which is a pretty popular, yeah. I think that's pretty much all we have, isn't it?
I guess I
Yeah.
did not know it's window shades and color furniture, so to me, that's a surprise.
Well, and that was the thing, that like as we started working through, we thought, oh gosh, that is a cost that hadn't been factored into things, so. With the window shades out, it meets the furniture budget number we set initially, and I think with the window shades in, it's slightly above that number, but a number we're comfortable with after looking at what we've done budgetarily on this, because we're well under the technology budget for the building.
That was gonna be my question, how do you, budget wise?
We said 350 originally. We said 350 originally, right?
368, I think, for the furniture, and then 150 for the tech.
Oh, shoot. After taking out the one covering, it is under the number we
Yeah.
set. So, which we'll still wanna do that, and we'll find out on the next item, that this safety grant money may not be able to cover that part, so we may have to still talk about that, but.
I think it would be an advantage if we could show some of these pictures to some of the students. Kind of, I mean, get their opinion, but the other thing is to just kind of give them a little peek of what's to come and get a little excitement going there.
What we'd be doing tonight though is just approving, moving forward with what's in this plan, and there's still design elements that
Yeah.
can take place, right?
Yes,
Right,
yes.
what's the time, what's our timeline?
Round versus square.
Right.
Yeah, those little things, so like our hope would be to order after tonight, start to get the final buttons done on this so that it's all done and ready to go.
If any of those little changes, are they gonna change the cost?
No,
Okay,
no,
because
Because
that's
all this
important from
takes
an
in-
approval procedural standpoint.
Right.
Okay.
right, so we have everything, set at, you know, the only thing that could change the cost is fabric, but I think, you know, we picked some pretty good fabric, that I think, you know, even if we stay in that same grade, we're fine. And I would just show you different grades, but there's nothing, that would change that price.
And what would we look at for delivery?
Well, I think we wanna work with Bi-State and find out when they're comfortable with that, because we don't wanna get in the way of what they're trying to do this summer, and actually with Aaron too. I would say we'd probably try to wait a little bit, maybe even until July, just a little bit, so that, so we can get in the stuff that we are gonna keep from the old building and not scratch up anything new.
Well, what's the date that we turned over that for the wrecking ball?
Well, June,
It was June 7th or something.
something on that order, it's that week. There's potentially some more to come on that in terms of some community groups using some of the space, but yeah, June 7th is when we turn over our keys to the old part, to, Bi-State. I don't know if we'll actually physically turn over keys or not, but we're not supposed to go in there after that date.
And we can schedule it to where like the classroom furniture comes on these days, the cafeteria comes on these days,
I
the,
think that's what
Media
maybe you and
center
Brad
comes.
talked about at one point, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to assemble it all in one day unless you have a huge crew.
yeah, yep,
But like the cafeteria stuff, we'd probably try to wait a little ways into it, just to make sure that we can get like that big, 1917 or whatever it says. Like I'd really like to not have the cafeteria tables in there as that's being trucked through and loaded up and everything, just to make sure we don't break a table or anything like
Kind
that.
of work from the inside out.
Yeah, I think that would be huge.
yeah, and we're happy to schedule that, and then we, on our end, we take care of all the scheduling, we work with Mark and Brad to schedule, you know, all of that stuff, and then we work with the manufacturers, and then we work with the freight companies to schedule everything, and I mean, it does happen where sometimes they just show up, but it's pretty rare. As long as we schedule it, then we have our installers here, they're ready to unload it, and then if there are any issues, they're gonna see it right away. So then we can take care of it right away, we know what we're looking for, so.
Do you need access to a dumpster for dunnage?
We would need dumpster, yes, because we have a lot of plastic wrap, a lot of, you know, cardboard,
Pallets.
so yes, pallets, all those things. Mhm.
How many dumpsters?
Well, probably two, probably one for cardboard and then one for garbage, I would say.
And we can have Aaron line that all up.
Yeah.
And it may be by.
I mean, that's just something we're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we're kind of planning when we might want it, how much time are you gonna need to install all this?
couple weeks.
Couple,
Yeah.
For everything.
yeah, for everything.
I would say probably.
The media
At
centers
the most.
will take probably 3 days. So we did 1,100 student high school. They were all individual desks, so there's 4 legs on every desk and 4 screws on every leg. It took
A week.
a week with,
I would say if
10
we
people.
need, if we worry
This-
about how many screws are going in and when at the board table, we're at the 2-foot view, not the 30,000-foot view, so those are kind of management rowing items that I think Brad and I can take care of and.
it'll take a full
Get the
week for
bigger
installation.
picture.
Yeah.
I think that's what, just a week to install.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the furniture plan as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you much for the hard work.
Thank you.
That's-
Safe trip home.
Your
That,
effort. Thank you.
I think that common area is be such a showpiece.
Oh, it's gonna be
And
beautiful.
I really love the furniture there, the media center,
Thank
so
you.
we're looking forward to.
Yeah. The community will be very, very proud of.
Yeah.
of
Safe travels.
What
Thank
you're
you very
doing,
much.
so we
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you, and
Thank
staff.
you, thank you.
They've been great to work with through the whole process.
Yeah, and if you have any questions or anything that comes up that you think of later, feel free to reach out to us, because we're happy to answer any questions or
Thank
send you
you.
anything.
Keep moving on here.
Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Item B, additional early graduation request.
So we have 2, and actually in both of these cases, these are students whose desired residence will be changing. One because of a transfer of a parent, another for another reason. Students who will meet the requirements, one sooner than the other, so one may have to do a couple of summer courses before that. But students who, for whatever reason, didn't appear to be qualified at the point of the last early graduation request and will be qualified at this point.
One of these is because of parent transfer.
Yeah, there's one of those.
That's hard to say no to. Because of the parent transfer. What's the other one?
Wants to graduate early.
Okay.
It's tough because since there's names on it,
Right.
to talk about the minors.
Right, no, I know.
Yeah.
I just,
Motion to approve pending meeting all graduation requirements.
Second.
Who was that? Second?
okay.
Okay.
What's that?
Now there's a second section we can discuss again.
Yeah.
I think it's way, personally for me, it's way too late. I don't agree with it. Don't agree with it at all. They should have had everything done and in prior.
Yeah. And the transfer one I could support, but the one that's, we need to do this. If we're asking kids to, or if kids want to ask to kind of grow up and want to be adults now, they need to be adults and get it in on time, so. We talked about that last year, getting all these in, but, I do kind of sympathize with the one who's transferred, you don't want to split a family up, so.
Yeah, and right now, the one that is the case, they're living with an aunt, actually over in Albion, driving over each day.
So she gets, if we approve this, then she's gonna go ahead and move and catch up with
This
mom.
summer, yeah.
Oh, this summer.
Yeah, so she's gonna have to finish her courses with us, still driving for Nance. So the challenge on one of the cases, the one that's, I'm trying to leave it, thank goodness there's 2, otherwise I couldn't really share this here. We did a transcript review with the school where her family's living, and they would start her as a junior next year because the state to which they're moving requires state-specific courses, and she hasn't taken like X state history, X state geography. So you have to have those as a graduation requirement in that school. It's a rather large, it's Tuscaloosa, so it's a big school district, and they don't really have to view you necessarily as an individual, I suppose. You know, you come in and either you have course numbers 1, 2, 3, or you don't have course numbers 1, 2, 3. So, a kid that kind of gets in a tough spot with that.
Okay. And is this someone who's going to graduate then with their junior versus senior year?
Yeah, that's why that one's a
So
little
it's a
different.
full year graduation early?
Yeah.
That's why they're graduating at the end of this?
Yeah, instead of doing 2 years there,
Otherwise, they'd have to do 2 years instead of 1 year.
yeah. That's a tough deal for that kid. It's a parent
Yeah.
job transfer, and that's a tough deal.
But as long as the requirements are met, we're on. we have
Yeah,
to
so
do that.
even if we approve it tonight and say one of these kids wouldn't pass one of the classes that they need for that to qualify them, then they wouldn't be able to graduate early. It just,
So one of these students is essentially an early graduate of 2025 and not.
that's what that would be, yeah.
That, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know we did that the whole year.
It's probably not something you do a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah. We recommend doing that often. And as you know, you have a very big heart. You guys know that about me, and I think in the case where a kid is gonna have to do an additional year like that, and has a plan, has a college that she wishes to start with in the fall, has a major planned out, I think that's a big deal, to try to let that kid
See,
off.
the one that and that one, I can support that one. The one I have an issue with is didn't get the paperwork in November, and now here in February, they want to go ahead and say, I don't want to do school anymore, I'm done.
And I'm trying to decide what I can say, like, publicly, because like, it's a virtual student, and, there are some challenges with the system that we've got for virtual school, and what that looks like for whether or not somebody's gonna be able to graduate early. I'm actually hoping to bring that to a work session near you soon. We'll talk a little bit about some proposals again this year to try to improve our virtual situation, to better make sure that students are learning well, becoming lifelong learners, and contributing positively to society. So nothing drastic and scary to anybody currently enrolled in the virtual program, just trying to continue to make adjustments so that people don't slip through the cracks.
Okay. Any other discussion? And it is perfect within Robert's Rules of Order to have discussion after a motion, so we're not out of line there. Okay, anybody else? So at this time, we'll call the question. All in favor of approving the early graduation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. I'm gonna say no also, only because I want them done in November. The one moving out of state, I can support those. Okay, motion passes. Approval of the security grant purchase.
Okay, so I think I shared via my weekly updates a few times just how much I love the safety grant. It's been so amazing and so easy to work through, he said very sarcastically in that meeting. We had a camera system planned. We had data pulls done and some cameras installed, and then got a new list of banned camera companies in the United States.
Banned by?
Banned by the federal government for federal grants, of which the governor's safety grant is, which now included the brand we were going to be working with. So we worked with Southern Iowa Technologies, what's our guy's name? Larry at Southern Iowa Technologies, and kind of informed him of our concern. He actually was working with a number of other districts on the safety grant for cameras. Kind of did a little bit of a scramble to see what we can do. We submitted to the state, asked them, is there anything we could do to cut us slack? Because we were already in the process of ordering this before this came out, and they said, well, not really. Once the feds say no, the feds say no, and you're just stuck. There is a district in our athletic conference that has Dahua cameras installed in their building, and they were able to use a federal grant last year to pay for it, because it just got in that 1 year earlier. Larry has been great. He recognized that, this is what we're going to use to pay for it, is the safety grant. So he went back to the drawing board a lot of the camera companies, so Larry is actually gonna eat the cost for about half of the cameras. And he's gonna sell them to other parties as he can. You just can't use them like in government buildings, for public safety, or there were a couple other restrictions on them. But he said, you know, we'll return the ones that the boxes aren't opened yet, to the distributor, and then he'll eat the cost on the others. Found us, actually, I shared with him, this is the company we used in Burlington, to do our cameras. They are fantastic, really good cameras, very easy to pull footage when you need to share. Like, for example, I would need to share outside cameras because of goings on in the neighborhood a number of times with the PD, so it's easy to download and share that information. So it's Axis Cameras is the name of the company that we'd be going through. One reason that we really like these ones is that the licensing fee is one time. So you pay the licensing fee for your cameras at the beginning, and then you're done. A lot of the camera systems that are coming out now are using the same model that a lot of the tech world is using, where it's a subscription. So you have to pay a yearly amount, but these ones do not behave that way. You get the software installed and you've got the cameras good to go. So that was a real selling point on these for us. As you can tell, the total amount is higher than the 50,000 for the safety grant in some cases. So these estimates here, there's a little bit of reworking, because if you look at 432, I want to say 3. Yeah, 4323 it's a whole separate invoice for the servers, but they're 2 specific buildings. And Howard is actually 34,000 something for their cameras. So we're gonna take the Howard servers and put them on the Howard invoice. So we can use reimbursement from the safety grant to be able to get those cameras all covered through that. The nice thing is cameras are one that don't require state fire marshal approval, so it doesn't take a 2-year wait or whatever it was. 18-month wait is what we were told you could expect for that, so.
18-month wait on what?
On state fire marshal approval for items on your safety grant. So we almost became the 3rd district in our AEA area to get burnt on the safety grant and have something very expensive installed and have to pay for it. But Larry really did a good job kind of pulling us from that and not putting us in that spot, and has worked really hard to get this done quickly for us so that we could have it in place and be able to submit for our reimbursement ASAP. I would highly encourage the next time the state look to manage a grant like this, that they maybe put a little more effort into the paperwork side. Not that they're gonna listen to me.
So the $50,000 safety grant was only for cameras?
Well, initially, we had hoped to spend that on cameras, the lots, which we're still gonna probably be able to fit in most of the buildings on this without using any additional PEPAL money. And we'd hope to use some ballistic hardening film in some spots, like we were talking about the windows of the cafeteria at Lakeview, the front of the auditorium at the high school. Unfortunately, those aren't probably gonna fit under that 50,000 now, just to be able to accommodate the cameras. But the good news is we won't be paying $20,000 a year in licensing fees to go with a system like this.
And we're gonna have some work session time to talk about the other things that you.
Well, so, yeah, I think that it would probably be wise to do that. We need to, now that we have this, we're gonna have to make some adjustments to our long-range maintenance plan probably to talk about the ballistic hardening, because I still believe that's something that would be wise to add to our facilities. But we need to figure out where we can fit that in, because they are pretty pricey. But they're really nice. They can really jazz up the look to the front of the building too, which was kind of cool, because you can get logos on them and everything. But they're an additional safety feature that we'd really like to see added when we can afford that.
So you know me and my safety.
Yeah, I got you, yeah.
I'm not letting it go.
Yeah.
And the grant was?
So 50,000 per building, so the preschool, Lakeview, Howard, and high school. One thing that we need to talk to our grants person, so they hired a company to manage the grant. And what's the name of that company? Something Wit or something like that. Yeah. So anyway, our representative from that company at one point had told us, well, there's some wiggle room and you've got a total pot of money, maybe you can spend a little bit more on one building, a little bit less on another. My hope is to get them to put that in writing so that I can spend a little bit more on making sure that we pay for the whole system in the one building, because
So
the
the total
preschool is
grant
pretty
is-
small.
The total grant was
$200,000.
so we're under that if we can get it.
Yeah, if they give us that wiggle room, so my only concern right now is, the fact that the high school is a little bit over the 50,000, 4,000. So something that we can make up for with some of the cushion that we've got in the tech budget, on the project that we didn't end up spending. But definitely worth it. Cameras are probably in our, what was that thing called that we had that guy come do from Tetra Tech? We had an assessment done, do you remember the name of that, threat assessment or whatever it was? So when he came and they had a large report that they had to fill out on each building that talked about, here are the things that are major priorities for you to get next, and kind of after that, we'd look at this or we'd look at that. Having secure entry already was a big bonus for us there. They just recommended upgrading or adding camera systems as kind of our next step for us, which makes a lot of sense. And these ones are IP-based, which is a big deal to us, because then we can share that access with PD. So PD will be able to monitor and/or if there were ever an event where we need their help to see that. So for example, we had a parent who had really put our office staff here on alert last week. Very erratic behavior, very violent reactions. We actually did need to call PD to this office. I was real cool and brave and went out there to try to talk him down myself. Unfortunately, with less success than I usually have with such things, so. But thank goodness that our friends from the PD showed up quickly, because I was starting to get a little nervous at one point. But this would be a case where, our officers would be able to see what they're walking into with that, if there were a concern like that. So I think that's got a lot of potential.
So will we ever have cameras here?
So we do actually have in this, let's see, it's 4322. And that is cameras specifically for this building. So one of the tricks with this system is it's all gonna be on one server. Well, I guess multiple servers, but it's connected. So that we in the admin building will be able to have a screen, or on my computer or on Julie's computer, where we can watch what's happening in different hotspots throughout the district. So what's really cool about their software, and I really geeked out when we got these new cameras in Burlington for like this, you can build your own views. So I had, on my computer as principal, I had an entry view, so every entrance where you could use cards to access, I could see that on the entry view. I had every hallway, so I could see a thing in every hallway and know if something was going down that I needed to take care of. Here, we might put each commons area or each main entrance on a view, so that from our office, we can kind of keep track of things with them too. Not that that replaces going into the buildings to do, important stuff like being in the buildings with kids, but it is something where there's another set of eyes now that's kind of trained on school safety, that's able to see, it just kind of on a random time, you're able to see what's going on and, hey, they may need some help there. That's something that's been really useful for me when I was a principal, because my secretary, we mounted a screen in the office where she had all the hot spots on my hotspot view, and she could watch it and she'd be able to say if I was meeting with somebody, hey, you might want to go to the kindergarten hallway, total meltdown in the middle of the hallway there. And I could run down there and I could go help out and save the day and put on my cape and everything, and it was great. So we've actually talked about having access for that for our secretaries in the office in each of our buildings that way. But I'm really excited about this, can you tell?
So, maybe you misunderstood my question. So you said you had an incident here. Will we have cameras here that would be accessible to.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so
It was in that diatribe.
Okay.
It was in.
sorry, I just shared the
You were
exciting part.
excited, I know.
My bad.
It was like the first sentence and then the rest of the
Yes.
mod
And then I shared my excitement with you.
That's okay, I like it, guys.
Yeah. This is a great system, like, it's definitely on the pricey side, we're gonna do it, we've already talked about what work we have to do if we don't get that flexibility, but this is totally worth it for what we can do to monitor our buildings.
What's another layer of
Yeah.
information for our kids? And
Absolutely.
That's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, this is gonna be great, really good.
It's all visual.
Yeah, and it's
Audio.
high definition, like you can zoom in really far with the, actually, so the cameras we're getting are slightly, because it's like 3 or 4 years after we bought new cameras in Burlington, just a little bit newer, so they're a little bit nicer than what I had. And I could zoom in and see whose face it was on the playground on those cameras, so we're gonna do, we'll probably say nose hair, I'll have to like do better.
Well, that note, motion to approve.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Let's get on.
sorry, my bad.
We have a motion and second to approve the security cameras. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Cameras are approved. Okay. First read of board policies. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hopefully this won't take too long.
No, and this is just updating, these are the ones we had to submit for the desktop this year. As you know, we're kinda out of date, in one case, recruiting, adding Iowa perks, eliminating Teach Iowa, which was about the saddest thing, to do, making sure that they know where jobs are posted, changing around, combining a few, qualifications and hiring, are combined. We had to define licensed employees and changing some of the items in evaluation to line up with kind of state language on there. And what we've got, compulsory attendance, that's just kind of updating with the times. Family engagement, so this is one that we actually, by the end of this summer and when we're on the annual cycle, we'll review every year. So this is to keep up with federal Title I requirements.
And which one is that, Mark?
505.11 and 505.11R1.
Okay.
So this is just, that's one you'll see every year, then when we're on the annual cycle, which is gonna be awesome.
Since there's only a handful, normally we go one by one, when there's 50 of them go through. We just kind of dispense them. Does anybody have any questions or comments on any of the policies?
Motion to approve first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the first reading of the policies as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
All right. Discussion of the 2024-25 budget and set time and date for public hearings. So, for those of you who aren't up to date on the latest legislation, we have an added level of fund in our budgeting expectations this year, as driven by state law.
I'm not ready for discussion yet, so I'm just put it on there in case it was, so.
Okay.
So we're just gonna set the hearings and then do some discussion at the next meeting.
You mean like explaining the process?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, parts we do know so far are that after we do some work, some magic in the system, Lisa does magic in the system that does all the things that the state needs us to do with the budget, then a mailing will actually go out. And so, again, for those playing along at home, I think that's important. That mailing will tell you what the highest possible tax rate for the next year is gonna be, not necessarily what the tax rate for that year will be. And they actually kind of have a mechanism where it's going to appear that our tax rate for the next year will be a bit higher than what it actually will be. That's just something that's built into the state required report. And there may be some causes for that to be the case. But on that document that tells you that higher rate than what it'll actually be, will also be a time and a date to come and share your concerns about that, on that same postcard. So it's gonna be an interesting
It's an
process.
extra layer of notifying taxpayer what their taxes are gonna be, as required by state law, so it does add an additional hearing that we have to have.
So, yeah, the 8th will be what it could be, and the 22nd will be what it would be, is essentially how that will process out.
And these dates that they're proposing are in order to give the notification required timeline, to meet the timeline for the mailing, and meet the timeline for submitting the budget to the state as required. It does take board action to set these hearings.
Motion to approve the proposed hearing dates and times.
Second.
Motion and second to set the hearing dates as presented. All in favor, signify by
Well,
saying aye.
it's a roll call. since it's-
Oh, sorry.
Alright. So Berger,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Heflin,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Vistris.
Yes.
Moving forward, I'd like to take my employment agreement separate, and after that we'll abstain.
Oh, that makes
Okay.
sense.
It does say roll call there, I noticed that one.
That's a good point.
Okay. So approved personnel business procedures, we have a request to take Mike Moore separate. There are just a few, does anybody have any issues with separating out Mike's? Okay, so let's go ahead and do Mike's first without him.
Motion to approve Mike Moore as substitute bus driver.
Second.
All in favor of Mike Moore as a substitute bus driver, signify by saying aye.
Aye. I was thinking about haggling.
I'd like to add, we have 10 of you.
No, so this
Yeah, we
one
have
is,
a wheel.
If I was legally allowed to say aye there, I would.
all opposed. Okay, now.
Bless your heart.
Now, after that, we have a couple other personnel changes, plus the sports contracts on it, so we pay our officials. Let's take that one now.
Motion to approve remaining personnel business procedures.
Second.
Motion second to approve the remaining personnel business procedures, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. So here's what you can do, Mike, is you can get up and get your bus, drive to school, sub that day, then leave the bus at the parking lot, let's just go ahead and drive them home.
Okay, let's do it.
I feel like that'll happen at some point.
I can drive us all to the next meeting that we have at a different location.
Yes.
You're sitting in the back.
Financial reports.
It's the guy that sits up front is the one that costs you.
That's true. So he trusts you.
I'm gonna sit them in the back and then yell at them and bring them up front.
Yeah, there you go.
I can see you in that little bit.
Financial reports, please.
I have a question on Middle Creek of Arkansas.
Yes.
What is that?
It's a special education placement for a student, yeah,
I suspected that, right? Thank you.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
Motion to approve financial report.
Second.
No, motion second to pay to approve the financial reports. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Superintendent report.
And I apologize for the last couple of weeks for the brevity of my weekly email. I just feel like we've kind of been engaged pretty hot and heavy in a couple of big items, one of which culminated today with the furniture presentation there. That's been, honestly, I think that maybe has been more work than what we've had to do on the building side, just to get that lined up and talk to all the people through that. But it's good, and I'm really excited about the fact that we're gonna have a state-of-the-art building for our kids that's properly furnished. And we are currently working on what we do have in the building, including Aaron has started some work to pull out some cabinets to put them in the new, or in the sixth grade wing at the middle school. When we walked through, you probably remember that there were old, falling apart wooden cabinets there. that are gonna get replaced with the really nice cabinets that we've got on the third floor of the high school. So we're trying to keep kind of a running tally of what we pull to use in other locations. We've got some furniture that's still in pretty good shape that'll be able to replace in a couple spots throughout the district. So just trying to be good stewards of that money, because, you know, we did have a big ask in building the high school. So we want to make sure that we're using the stuff that we do have well. And I'm pretty excited about how well that's going along, and the philosophy that everybody's had going into that, you know, we're committed to using all of that. We've had a lot of student activities recently, just finishing up the winter season, so definitely getting excited and ready for a great spring season ahead. Can't wait for that. It's nice to see the sun again, and I think that's really had an impact on some of our students, which is good. And we're just eager to get into the spring here ahead. Kind of brief. I usually talk about, sorry.
I just have to say, when I attend basically basketball games as of late, and I see you there with your whole family, that really, I
Thanks.
really love seeing that.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Okay. Board takeaways, I don't have my sheet with me because I have been gone since Friday and just rolled back into town, and I think we started.
You started with me.
Yep.
I enjoyed the furniture presentation, and I know that's a lot of work. But it will certainly be a really big part of our building.
Yeah.
And so I was glad to see that. I hope that we have some way to share that with some students and kind of at least maybe get their ideas on it. Not that we're probably gonna change anything, but
Well, the square of the round.
yeah, just,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's it.
Get their excitement going too.
Yeah, I think so.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting to see that project coming to a close. It's, once we figured out the plan and how we were gonna pay for it, we really haven't been that involved in it. I mean, I know you have, but,
That's a good thing for us.
you know, for us, it's just go with the plan.
There's a lot of years of work leading up to that decision, though.
Oh my God, was there ever? Yeah. But I'm very proud to have been part of it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the final product. I do have a question about the multipurpose room. If we try to use that for other things, do we have any furniture, tables and chairs for that? The gym. The gym.
Yeah.
I call it a multipurpose room because we thought we would be able to use it for different things.
I think, oh, you mean like for hosting something?
Yes.
In there? So we've talked about taking some of the, in the old gym at the junior high, some of the bleachers to put in there. Because they're just short enough that they'll fit and still be under those side hoops. So, yeah, I think we've talked about maybe like a JV2 game or something, or things like that in there, maybe inviting some of our community partners that use our old gym. Maybe that'd be a good spot to host a few things to show it off to some people. Because I think one big desire that we have is seeing some events hosted in that building. Because I want like other schools, families to come in and say, holy cow, Centerville has it together.
I was thinking more in terms of tables and chairs for like a banquet or something like that.
We don't really have that yet. It's not that we couldn't. And we could maybe potentially roll in the stuff that's out in the commons area for that, maybe, if we needed to.
Yeah.
That's a good stuff.
Yeah, and we have some
We've got,
things that.
Like folding tables.
we've got folding tables that we use like in the gym now for homecoming and stuff like that.
And
I'm
chairs.
assuming we'll keep
I hadn't
those.
thought about that, to be honest with you.
Well,
That hadn't hit me as a.
I know, we were both at the school foundation and they were excited about maybe using that
Yeah.
for part of the homecoming activity.
And we could probably wheel in some of the stuff that's already in the cafeteria and spread that out a little bit for that. Because at least the couple that I've gone to so far, you usually look like, you know, maybe 40 people in the one spot, 20 people over here or something. I think we could probably get things together for that.
That's all I got.
Carol?
I'm excited.
I really enjoyed our guests, you know, our organizations, the kids, that's one of my favorite parts always. But I have to say that listening to the furniture presentation, and I think about what a gift we are giving our students, and I'm so excited for them. I think it's awesome.
I really like the fact that we touched on, which we didn't know that was gonna happen in the presentation with, the suicide, mental health, substance abuse, and then you tie that into other stuff we're discussing with the safety. I mean, from blinds, that were in the one thing, to the camera systems, are all very important things that I think we are trying to be proactive in. So, what I think.
I'm gonna skip me because I'm gonna talk about next, the work session coming up. Mike?
Well, it seems like it's been forever since I've sat here, so,
Welcome back.
yeah, it was nice to kind of get back in the room. One thing I guess I want to talk about is almost a challenge to the rest of the board members, when I'm subbing. In every single building that I'm in, I constantly get, staff saying, I wish more board members would come in here and see what we do daily. So I would put out a challenge to go into each building, different classes, things like that, after checking with principals, and just sit in on a class and see what goes on in the classroom. So it's totally different than what we get in this board.
So I've done that in the past, and it is kind of eye-opening, so, and I know the teachers, staff appreciates it.
Yep.
It can be intimidating for a teacher. I would go anywhere I was invited, but I would like to be invited.
Rather than say it's an open invite.
Well, maybe, I haven't received that open.
Well, I guess the way, coming from a board member, it is an open invite. I mean, we have to know what's going on in the school system to make our choices.
And maybe the principals could put it out there, say, hey, you know, the board members really wanna come with it, and they, you know, most of them would probably be all for it, and.
I do think what Mike is saying has some merit though, and I really wanna make sure that we not like,
Not overwhelmed.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, please be really careful about a first or second year teacher going and observing the classroom, I really wanna keep them here, so.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and like,
I would.
I think that's kind of what you were going for.
I'll go anywhere that I'm invited,
Yeah.
and I'll go at any time. But I would like to feel that it was their invitation and not something I put on them, I guess you'd say.
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
So could you put something out that says, hey?
We could probably put something out for them.
Yeah.
Derek?
Student presenters, fantastic. I mean, definitely opened my eyes to that. And, you know, again, from Lauren at homecoming to here, to, I mean, that I wish I could have spoke like that in public at that age. So kudos to her, man, that's fantastic. So I wish her nothing but the best. Again, I'm breaking Kevin's rules. I'm kind of piggybacking on everybody. But furniture, that I didn't know that we would have that in-depth discussion on furniture tonight. I'm kind of glad we did. A lot of it made sense. The furniture that we put into the room, it's great. It's fantastic. It's great for the kids. But we gotta make sure that we keep doing the right things, and it starts with that staff in that building. You can change everything over, but if we stick with what we got, we're gonna get what we got. So, lots of progress, but there's still progress to be made.
Always growing.
Tom?
Well, you know, in the presentation, I was excited when they talked about the library and getting that going again and getting people interested in reading. And I also want to appreciate so much that the administrators are here and give us an idea of what the kids are doing. I think that's so valuable. And I'll take Mike's challenge, maybe, because I can go in and be a sub right now because I have a permanent teaching certificate from a long time ago, and back then they must have given them away, I don't know. No, you could if you did certain things. And so I may sub once in a while. I may put my name in there, not a lot, but once in a great while.
Take you as many times as you want.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Yeah, but I still work a little bit in another place once in a while, and I am old and retired, you know that. So, but anyway, I do think that is really neat. It's a good way to get in there and do a class or two once in a while.
I would agree, not to get it, but I'm with Mike on that one, because there's a lot of staff that really don't know who a lot of us probably are.
Yeah.
And just to show up, you know, the administrators all do, but, you know, I'm not gonna just walk into, hey, I'm here. You know, so I would love to, and I'm with Mike, I absolutely would love to.
And from the teacher standpoint, anytime you have another adult come in, it's just, you know what breaks loose. I mean, it's just chaos.
All right.
It is just like, ugh.
And let me bring this back in for a second. So this is good, but here's something that we need to keep in mind. The agenda item does not include discussion. And we have to be very careful that we don't discuss something. So the takeaway is just to put something out there. And we've got off into some discussions before, and one of the things that I've learned about board policy and state law, chapter 21 and chapter 22, is if you get too deep in chapter 22, if you get too deep into discussing something and you didn't put it on the agenda as a discussion, then you didn't give the public an opportunity to come for that part of the discussion. So just on the takeaways are awesome. We just have to be very careful that we kind of stay on task, because it's not Mark and Lisa and I have talked a lot about this. It's great stuff, but we just have to give the takeaway and just kind of move on to the next person. Otherwise, we run the risk of going into a violation on discussion, so. I'm just very tuned with the state law these days on that, so.
Sure.
All right, sorry to cut you off on that one, but, so for mine, I'm gonna actually, I'm excited about the Big Red Express, because Mark, he told me about that one several months ago. We got some funding ideas of ways to do that, so the fact they're actually pull that off is something I'm kind of excited about. I want to talk about work sessions. So for those of you who turned in your homework on time, thank you very much. One just turned theirs in tonight, and one I need to get from, and then I will have to admit that I didn't do my job when I was gone and Mike Moore was gone, so he doesn't know about it, so he's gonna have to get his. Otherwise, so those who got it in, thank you very much. Those who got it in tonight and think that, well, I got it in, I didn't have time to put the data in, so. Anyways, so I will get the data put in, and I will send that so you can kind of see what the chart is. Tammy Drama sent an email yesterday, I haven't had a chance to read it, she sent one over the weekend.
I saw that.
Yeah, about, so we're gonna do some work and planning on the work session coming up. So we're gonna kind of go through this with her leading the discussion for it. And we'll just kind of do the board assessment. And based on what Tammy, I talked to her after the last meeting, she thought it was a good idea that Mark and Lisa do not give a board assessment, since they, work for the board. It should just be the board, so their numbers are not gonna be in that, so.
Probably wouldn't get it if I didn't give like a 10 to board superintendent relations.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so anyways, so they're not gonna be on that one, and, so as soon as I get the last one of these in, we'll set that out there, and so the next work, are we doing it here or down in the building?
we need to do it here, and there
Do it
was a
here.
reason for that, and I can't remember what it was. But we have to do some other item of business right before the work session. Yeah, calendar hearing, we'll need to do.
Oh, calendar hearing, we got, okay.
Yeah, no, you're right.
There's something else, but I can't remember what it is at this moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have to have all sorts of hearings this spring now, so.
So anyway, so we'll do the work session here, and you'll get all of that. And then, the good thing about the work session is, and I don't know if it's gonna be 2 or 3 hours long, we gotta talk with Tammy about that, is for each hour that she's here, you get a point towards the Better Board Award. So those of you that walked away with 12, you should be close to 14 or 15. You need to get 15 to qualify.
That's not a reason to go till midnight that night.
No, it's not.
And when is the
The next work session, the 22nd. Our next regular scheduled meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. 22nd? 26, sorry, 26. So our next regular scheduled meeting, so. So anyways, I just need a little more feedback, we'll get this out, and we'll start the board assessment at the next meeting. Having said that,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nobody else, hold, stay here.